PC overlords as we abandon Xbox. Hey, everybody. Did you all hear that? I hope you did.
Man, don't tell him our plans for abandoning Xbox. Hey, Garita, did you just change your... He did. He just changed his
he did.
PFP.
No, I didn't do that.
I feel like I think he did.
PC Master Race.
Oh, it's
everyone's
a glitch in the system.
Everyone's jumping ship.
What is that little ball? Yeah.
That's PC Master Race.
What is that thing?
That's the PCMR.
It's the
mascot.
PC Master Race.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which is really Terry Crews. I love Terry. Anyway, we'll hello guys. How you doing? We were having a minor intervention because Riskit's been bad through the week, and I've been feeding into the negativity. So naughty Riskit. He won't do it again until tomorrow. Anyway, welcome to the Infinite Podcast. How you guys going? Thanks for sticking around. This week, wasn't technical issues. Interesting week. Very interesting week. A lot's been going down. A lot's been happening. A lot of but I want to get into some of the positive. Can we kick off with positive, guys, to begin the show? I feel like everyone sort of leads in with the negative. But I reckon this week we should probably start with the positives.
Can I kick it? Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
What do you guys reckon? But before we do that, I should probably do some introductions. Garita, welcome back. How's your week been? What have you been up to? How's things?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been a good week, actually. I've had a great week, the best week I've had in a long time. I've been busy and it's hot here, but I'm feeling really good, and I haven't done for quite some time, so that's a really great thing. I've been playing a lot of games, but nothing's like really grabbing me at the moment. So I'm very much grazing and digging into that backlog and trying to find that game that really hooks me, so that I can keep going back to it. But I started playing Batman Arkham City for the first time, and I modded it so that it's got like HD textures and everything like that.
Oh,
and
wow.
it looks like a modern game, feels like a modern game, and that's the one. It's grabbed me. I love it. I just finished Arkham Asylum for the first time ever as well, and straight onto Arkham City, and it's like the jump from Uncharted 1 to 2. Like Arkham City is amazing, especially it's essentially, I think it's called the mod is called Asylum Arkham City Reborn. I think that's what it's called. But yeah, it's pretty much like a remaster. It's amazing. So yeah, that's what I've been playing.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah, I'm sort of the same actually. I was until last night struggling to find something that was sort of captivating me. But we've got Umbra. Welcome back. How's your week been?
What have you been up to? What have you been playing this week? We represent the Lollipop Guild.
Yes, the Lollipop Guild. The Lollipop Guild. We represent.
I have had a really interesting week, man. I was so damn tired yesterday doing my show. I was up the entire day. After having gotten off from work, I think I maybe have gotten probably an hour of sleep yesterday, maybe. And part of that was because I was playing Last Epoch with my brother Casual. And Garuda, you should definitely get that. You could jump in with us and yeah. But so it's a really fun game. So action RPG, of course, is in the vein of Diablo. Just more freedom in builds and stuff like that. So really good. Show was decent yesterday. Again, though, I was so tired. But we managed to get through it, and that was without my co-host. So shout out to, I guess, Hargeet, who jumped in, and Pete, who was on as well. As far as the week itself, of course, I was on Boom's Xbox Factor. Just decent show. A really good discussion and everything like that. For me, it had just been a matter of gaming around from Ghost Recon Breakpoint to Last Epoch to even trying out NVIDIA's GeForce Now, which I personally did not like. Trying to use that through the Xbox. It worked. It just didn't give me the results I thought I should have got paying for that 4080 tier. So whatever. It is what it is. But Garuda, thanks for joining us this week, brother. And yeah, let's have a good show.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. Let's get into it.
Well, cloud streaming isn't quite where it should be, right? I sort of feel. Blue, how's your week been? What have you been up to? How's things? She gets some intro this week.
I get what?
Well, you got the music
intro?
going. Here she is.
I can't ever hear it. I
Yeah, it's
like my
weird.
music and I can't hear it. Hello, everyone. It's been a really, 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 really weird, hard week at work. So I'm very glad to be here and like getting a break from it all. That I haven't been able to play much this week, but the thing that I cannot talk enough good about, and I am begging anyone who wants to play it to hit me up, buy the thing, and get into the Outlast trials with me. Red Wolf and I bought it, and I have another friend who lives in Canada, and he got it, and we jumped in on Tuesday. It came out this Tuesday. It's only $40, $40 game US, and it is so good. Like, I can't even describe. It's like when you get into one of those games and then it just kind of sits in your brain and you're at work and you're thinking about the game. You guys ever have that? It's pretty rare. Like Elden Ring did that to me. And
Yeah, that's
just
what I've been looking for. I want a game that when I'm not playing it, I'm thinking about it. That's what I've been having trouble finding at the moment.
I have been sitting here in like withdrawal for not being able to play that game for like the last 2 days. It's dumb good. It's crossplay. It's on everything. It's really, really good. And I didn't play the first two Outlast games. That I love Resident Evil, but Outlast is on a whole nother level that's not necessarily my comfort zone. But this game, it's all multiplayer. It's fantastic. So everybody should go get it.
I was told that from casual that in the Outlast in the regular series Outlast games, there are two naked crazy people chasing after you.
There's booty peepees and vajayjays everywhere in this game. But not in a fun way. They just naked is definitely an outfit choice for the characters that you run around near. But
I see.
you have your own like cell, and you can decorate your cell. You can buy weird outfits for yourself. And then you like get thrown into a scenario, and there's all these different objectives that you have to outlast and get through together as a team. And you're being kind of chased, and there's traps, and it's just a ton of fun. It's a ton of fun. Love it.
Sounds
Love
fun.
it.
I think I'm gonna
Yes.
get it. I think I'll get it.
Naked people. Sorry, what? Are we still?
Okay.
So my
Love you
week.
too.
My week is.
See, I'm one of those at the moment.
I thought you were Donald ducking it.
No. Reverse Donald ducking, actually.
Yeah, my
You're
week's
Mickey
been
Mouse and get. You're
That's
Mickey
it.
Mouse and get. Yeah.
That's it. Mickey Mouse in it, bro.
Oh, Pluto. Oh.
Tallywhackers hanging out.
Oh.
tallywhacker. Yeah, my week's been pretty interesting. Yeah, there's been a lot for me, I guess, going on with the Xbox community just in general. And if you know me, you know I'm sort of here mostly because the community. And I've just been a bit disappointed with some of the people in the community, frankly. And maybe that's coming out in my Twitter. So head over there and follow me over at Riskit4TB. And if you want to be entertained, you can watch me lose my shit on a regular basis. It's fun and I like it. I guess, what have I been playing? Oh, so last night, I don't know if you guys would remember this from the last Xbox showcase, but they had No Rest for the Wicked. I think it was the Xbox showcase, but anyway, and then they did a last week it was a in-depth dive to No Rest for the Wicked. That's the Moon Studios, the makers of Ori. They've got like it's like an RPG action adventure sort of top-down game. Looks amazing. Anyway, we're talking to someone, I can't remember who it was, but I was talking to someone in the community and they said you should try Achilles. And I'm pretty sure Skill Up or ACG also said the same thing. Like if you like can't wait for that, you should check out Achilles. So I downloaded that last night and I've been having a bit of a bang on that, and it's pretty good. It sort of came out in that period in 2023 when there was so much to play that like it didn't get noticed. But yeah, I'll jump back to it. It's sort of top-down action adventure. Yeah, it's fun. It's pretty fun. It's basic. Yeah. It's double A, but it seems fun. And like you play as Achilles, right? And as I've only gotten a little bit into it, but you die because you get shot through the Achilles heel, obviously, as you know, history and all that stuff. And then you end up in the land of the undead. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm playing a bit of that.
Is it called Achilles Legends Untold? Is that the full name?
I think so. Could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Riskit, speaking of No Rest for the Wicked, I'm also super looking forward to that. That's early access starts for that in 5 weeks, 19th of April, because I'm really been keeping my eye on that, and it popped up on Steam for early access. Yeah, so you can play it like in 5 weeks. Oh, on PC only though. Sorry. Sorry about that.
I'm looking at it.
Stop
It looks pretty dope to me, Risk.
It does, yeah. No, it's good. It's pretty fun. I have not heaps into it. There. Apparently, there's a Stellar Blade demo out, so there's a lot of people playing their controller with one hand at the moment. You can think into that as much as you want to or don't want to.
Accessibility controller. That's what it's for, bro.
Hey, it's Women's Day. Stop it.
Okay. Yeah.
Women can also use this controller.
That's true.
It's not just, it's unisex.
Oh, Umbra.
Oh, I shouldn't joke like that because now I just turned myself on. Anyway, go ahead, Risk. What are you saying?
God.
Oh, damn. All right, where's the mute button? There's the mute button.
That was the line back there.
I'm a habitual line stepper. Go ahead, Risk.
Where were we? So I wanted to jump in this week with some positive, because it's been a real negative week for me. I think just the entirety of the last couple of months, you know, it's not getting to me, but it's obviously coming out in my behavior. So yeah, I guess I wanted to get into this positive news, which Xbox did a partner showcase that was really good. Now, if you know me, it's pretty rare you ever see me give anything a 9 out of 10, but this to me was a 9 out of 10. Like, I fucking love this showcase. It was brilliant. There was really good games. We knew what we were getting. We knew we were getting like third-party partner games. You know, there was a Shadow drop. There was a few games in Game Pass. And everything just looked really good. There was a couple of really interesting games that had some, I guess, different. I mean, we're always sort of complaining that we don't get new IP and developers aren't taking risk. But to me, it seemed like there's a couple of games in this that looked like they were going to take risks. I can't think of the name of it. The Altars. The Altars looks like it's one of those games that takes a bit of a risk and does something a little bit different. You know, sleight of hand. So I guess everyone, guys, I've been looking forward to Path of the Goddess Kinetsugami for a while. Excuse me. I had to cough. And so I was pretty excited to see that. It was cool to read. So it's apparently a like action, right? But it's also time-based strategy. So you can stop, you know, in the middle of a battle and then do a bit of strategic moves with your villagers, and then you can get back into the battle. So that looked pretty cool to me. But I don't feel like I saw like enough to completely understand what the game is about, but it just looks cool as fuck. Like, so I'm pretty excited about that one. And I haven't been super excited about I wasn't super excited about the first party showcase, to be honest. I think I was more excited about this one. Stalker, I'm keen to check it out. Like, it's good that it's on, you know, Xbox, as everything should come to Xbox and skip PC. So it's good to see that. Unknown 9 Awakening, a bit iffy. Don't know about that one. There's some cool bits to it, but I was like, ooh, I'm not sure about this. So I don't know about you guys. Altars looked absolutely amazing. That's the one where you have a quantum computer. You're stranded on a planet. You have your ship, and you can, with your quantum computer and one of the elements on the planet, you can go back in time and you can make a different decision in your life, which creates a clone of you, but with that decision ingrained in them. So they could be a completely different personality. They've made different choices in life. And so it's you, but not you. So really, really interesting concept on that one. I really, really like that one. And guys in the chat, just throw out what was your favorite game of the showcase, because I'm really interested to see, because there was a lot of good games. So for me, there's sort of a lot to pick from. So I'm interested to see. I think it's a good sort of measuring stick of a show if, say all of you don't pick the same game. If everyone's like picking Indiana Jones, there was not much there but Indiana Jones, right? Even though it was trash. Sleight of hand. That looked okay. I'm down for stealth. I'm like Umbra and Pete. Like I do love my stealth games. So, but the standout of the show for me, before I kick it off to the panel, because I obviously love First Berserker. I know that's probably Umbra's favorite, but Tales of Kensira, I've been looking forward to Zao for ages, man. That game looks absolutely fantastic. I love side-scrolling Metroidvanias, so to me, that looks absolutely amazing. And I love the story of the just the developer behind it. He's a voice actor. His father passed away, and this is very related closely to grief for him and what he felt when his father passed away. So that sounds like an absolutely fantastic game. We need more of these types of games. So I'm super excited to see that one. Garuda, what was your thoughts on the showcase? Where are you at with it?
Well, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I thought that was head and shoulders above the developer direct. It was an amazing showcase. I actually didn't really like the developer direct that much, but this one here was a 9 out of 10 for me, same as what you thought. Both in terms of the content that was shown and also the format and pacing of the show, it was like impeccable. That's the template, that's the format for me moving forward. The way that they done that little graphic in between games saying, this is a new reveal or this is a shadow drop. They had little icons next to it. No bullshit, no talking shit. Like, it just let the game speak. And I'll tell you how good the show was. It's easier for me to think of games that I wasn't interested in comparison to the ones I was. Usually if a show, like you said, is not that great, you can only think of 1 or 2 games and everybody kind of agrees. But for this, I could see an interest in almost everything except for that stupid Child's Play Chucky Roblox thing. That just looked horrible. And apart from that, kind of everything sort of looked interesting, and it kind of it speaks to my sort of changing and evolving gaming preferences too, because I tend to play a lot more of these AA and indie type games nowadays, I've noticed, just because I think they're doing something a little bit different. Gameplay is king, and this showcase, it was a lot of gameplay, and it was it looked fantastic. I also liked Tales of Kensera because those kind of side-scrolling Metroidvanias are very much in the vein of what I love. Like Ori 1 and 2 are like some of my favorite games of all time, and it kind of looks like that. I haven't played The Prince of Persia, the new one, yet, but I really love the look of that. I also, I've heard that's really great. What else was great? The last game they showed, man, I was a bit iffy when I first seen it. Like, I think last year I was like, what is this? But the way they revealed the Path of the Goddess with the strategy elements and how you can kind of direct your villages and to fight the enemies at night and stuff like that just looked so good, man. And coming to Game Pass, like a lot of those games I missed at the time are actually coming to Game Pass. So it was really good from a Game Pass standpoint as well. I really liked the look of, what was the one you said?
Kinitsugami?
That one was good.
Berserker.
Yeah, Berserker. It looked incredible. Like, I love the visceral gore aspect of it, blood going everywhere. It looks fantastic. It probably will be too hard for me. I get frustrated. I don't play like Souls-like types, and that's what it looks like. But I can appreciate how amazing it looks, especially from art style standpoint and things like that. And graphically, it looked really great. And the one where you it looks a bit like Dishonored, and you can control the enemies and manipulate the environment and everything like that. I thought that looked really intriguing as well. Sorry, I'm blanking on the name of that.
I think it was something 9. What was it?
Unknown 9. I really liked it.
Yeah.
It just looked. the way that the art style was and just the whole aesthetic of the game, it just looked super cool to me. It looked super interesting and unique. So, yeah, look, I loved it. I hope that that's kind of like the template moving forward. I like the developer direct template as well, but I just thought in terms of content shown, it was good. And I think when it finished, when Path of the Goddess Kunitsugami was shown, this is how you know it was a good show. I was like, what? Is that it? And I looked and it had been half an hour. I thought it had been 10 or 15 minutes. That's how you know it was good. I was that engrossed in it. And it was no stopping. It was just bam, 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 game, game, game. And when it was over, I was like, holy shit, it's done. That was incredible. It felt like 5 or 10 minutes. So, yeah, look, I hope that's what they do going forward. I want to see more of those. I know it's a lot to ask, but I would love to see, like, I don't think it's too much to ask for one of those a quarter. I think that'd be great. So yeah, for me, best show they've done in a long, long time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my thing is as well. If I know if I'm watching a good show, if I'm not skipping like a lot of it, because that's what I'll do. I'll be like, nope. Umbra, I know one of your standouts has got to be Berserkers, right?
Easily. For one, I love the aesthetic. I love the animated, anime style to it. You know how I am. And plus, I do love Souls games too. I'm not the biggest fan of them, but I do love them. And that speaks to it. It's very unique looking. I like the way the enemies are styled. It's in the vein of because the thing about it is, and then the reason I've come to love the Souls games is because of the art style. Part of it is the art style. And you look at that and you see how much I forgot the guy's name who made the Souls games. I know it starts with an M. I can't think of it right now.
Miyazaki?
But you see how
Miyazaki?
Thank you. How influenced he is by Berserk, which is one of my favorite manga of all time. And you see that love and look at it in action. It looks damn good.
I love the blood, man.
I do. I love all of it. I love the animations, the attacks. I love how the snow is getting disturbed, the ground is being disturbed as you do what you do. Look at that. Now, stuff like that you can't really do in Souls games, by the way, what he just did. So it seems to have a bit more in terms of flexibility and action and movement. It's just a really solid game overall. Much like you, the Unknown 9, I did like it. Definitely got the Dishonored vibes from it. Yeah, when she did that and started teleporting to the next person, I'm like, what's going on in this? Okay. But also, too, I liked how she had these kind of kung fu-esque air moves, like something out of the Avatar where she was hitting them with air with her shoulder like jabs and things. Like, it looked really cool. So, and then it also had a bit, am I the only one that thought this? Like, it had a bit of Assassin's Creed-esque feel to it when she was running across the rooftops and things like that. Yeah. So a lot of that got me. This scene right here is what really, really captured me. It's like, wow, look at that. Look at the snow being disturbed, how intense the action is, how intense the enemy fight is. I really was, I've actually was on board for Berserker Kazan, the first Berserker Kazan last year when it was unveiled. So I'm actually really, really hyped for that. Much like you pointed out, Garuda, to me, I think one of the signs, like you said, of a good show, pacing wise, is how much it feels like so little went by, and for this to be a 30-minute show, it's like you said, and both what you and Riskit said is that you didn't want to skip anything either. I think typically I have a wider palette of tastes than Riskit. So even if Riskit is feeling like, hey, I didn't want to skip even some of the Japanese style games, which is not really his forte, that tells you that these games are looking pretty solid. So it's doubly so for me because those games do appeal to me. But yeah, the pacing was really well done. They went game to game to game, and then they showed you, hey, this game is also coming to Game Pass as well. This game is coming to Game Pass. So they mixed a lot of that in, and they actually show much more than I expected them to show. What was it, 14 games? Didn't expect that. So I thought it was going to be closer to like 6 games or something shown. I didn't think it was going to be, something like this. I did speculate and say I would like to have seen something from Hollow Knight Silk Song, since they said it was, we know they got delayed. And also, what was it, Octopath Traveler 2, which I thought could possibly be unveiled, as that was supposed to release in the winter, they said, which could be this year until the winter ends, right? So, but we haven't heard anything about that. But what they showed, I was actually excited for. I'll say for Kanutsugami, Path of the Goddess, I don't quite know what the hell I'm supposed to do in that game. I know you're supposed to cleanse the demons, but I don't quite understand.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's my thing too. I'm just like, what is this game? Like
Mhm.
twice now I've seen it and I'm still like, okay, but what are we doing?
Yeah. It almost seems like an elaborate stage play. That's what it seems like.
Yeah.
That's
Like
kind
a
of what I
parade.
love about it as well.
Yeah.
I think you're
Yeah,
like liberating villages and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, I think that's the case. You're getting rid of the spirits from that. I mean, clearly it's playing on Japanese folklore, which I love, by the way.
oh, I love that as well.
But it's just very unique looking. It doesn't look like the typical styling of Japanese folklore, at least as the protagonist to me. Because I believe somebody said they thought it was possibly Chinese, and it does look like it could be.
It does seem to have like
Yeah.
a mixture or something. Yeah.
Right. But it was Japanese. Clearly, you could see the not the kanji, the what do they call it, the torii gates and things like that. So it's based in Japan.
But the enemy types are sort of reminiscent of like, the one that's in the world of like that monkey magic guy. What is it? That game that's coming out soon looks really good.
Black Myth Wukong.
Talking about the
Black Myth Wukong. The enemy types are like
journey.
that, and that's very much Chinese mythology. And the enemy types are a little bit like that, real bizarre looking, you know.
Yeah, you're talking about when you said the it was Riskit. That was your show, wasn't it? Monkey Magic.
Yeah, that was my show as well. I loved it.
Yeah, it was Riskit's show. He loved it too. But yeah, that's the path, the journey.
Journey to the West.
Journey to the West.
Journey to the West. That's what that is. Yeah, like it's possible they mixed in both the lores. Like it's possible that they went that direction. I was just kind of like confused. There was moments though, like when he fought the centipede and stuff like that, where it was pure action. So I'm like, all right, it looks pretty cool. I like the styling of it. And when they first showed and he slid through and the hands were like clapping behind him, I'm like, that looks really unique. So I don't quite get what it is, but it's coming to Game Pass, so that's a
Game
W.
Pass, that's amazing, man.
Yeah, so that's a W right there. What else? That like you pointed out, Rich, I love stealth games. So seeing the sleight of hand and that art style too. For one, I thought when I saw the art style, I'm like, is this what's the name of that midnight game that South of Midnight? It reminded me of that art style a little bit when I saw it.
Yeah.
But I love stealth type games, so I like that. I don't know how they're going to work out the card system and everything like that she clearly was using, but that looks unique, and it kind of give me the thought of it's going to be a more stylistic thief, right? So we'll see how
that's Game Pass as well too.
Also Game
right?
Pass.
Yeah,
right.
that's crazy. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. So those all looked really, really appealing to me. That was one other one. Well, everything looks really good. Like I couldn't be mad at anything, honestly. I didn't have an issue with anything shown.
Not even that Roblox Child's Play thing.
I'm sorry. I take that back. That one I didn't like.
That looks shit, bro.
I don't know what
I had the exact opposite reaction. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this game? And then when I saw it was Roblox, I was so embarrassed. But at the same time, I was like, I really want to play this.
If you take away Chucky out from that, it would be like, oh, what is going on here? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I would also say too is Roblox, but then you had the blood and everything and the killing. I'm like,
that's why I was surprised it was in Roblox, because it's Chucky.
It's like these are kids. This is a kids game.
Yeah, but they made like a Call of Duty-esque sort of first-person shooter in Roblox as well, which looks hyper-realistic. So
that's a good point. It sure did. Yeah. So this is sleight of hand here. Love the art
this
style.
Looks great.
It
Me
does.
too.
So I'm excited to see how it looks in game. I'm sure it's not going to look as Pixar-esque as it looks right here, but we'll see. It looks really good. And the altars, I think that's what it was. Altars actually surprised me. It kind of gave me a bit of that, what was that, Death Stranding feel, as I said it the other day.
Yes.
The way he's
I agree with
walking
that.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were saying it on your show, and I was like, before you were trying to pick up the name, and I was like, Death Stranding. And you were like, yeah, Death Stranding. I'm like, yeah, that is exactly what it feels like to me. Yeah. Yeah. Just the
Definitely,
look
yeah,
of
it
it,
kind of
right?
gave me those vibes a little bit. And I like the premise where it seems to be like you have all these alternative, and that's why they say in the alters, right? These alternatives, basically, is what they're pointing
Yeah,
out.
alter ego kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah, alternatives of him, and it's so I wonder how that's going to play out. It's probably a mental thing. He's probably got like split personality disorder or something going on or something. I don't know, but I like the premise of it, and it seems like you have to try to escape from this volatile world. So I like the whole idea of it. It gives me kind of a Death Stranding meets Interstellar slash what was the name of the movie with Matt Damon where he had to get back from
The
space?
Martian?
The Martian.
Matt
Um,
Damon.
Well, I'm just on it tonight.
Yeah, you are. You know what? Look at you.
Matt
You must have
Damon.
taken you some ginkgo biloba, something.
I
But
feel like this
no.
game's going to be really heavy, like emotionally, and kind of. It's going to have like decisions where no matter what you do, you're going to upset one of your alter selves, and the impact of your choices is going to really weigh into this game. It looks like.
I'm kind of
looks
thinking
beautiful.
the same, and that's a good point. And I'm hoping it's like that. I hope it's heavy because if you play games in the vein of what's the name of the game with
Blue.
Chloe and she has blue hair, if that makes sense. But Chloe and Maxine. Why am I forgetting the name of it? It's made by
Spider-Man.
Don't Nod.
Are you talking about Uncharted?
No, it's made by Don't Nod.
Is it
I'm blanking on
Uncharted?
this.
Life is Strange. Life is Strange. It just popped in my head.
Oh yeah.
Life is Strange had choices like that where they really mattered, right? Where something
Life is
serious could
strange.
happen. Yeah, I liked it. I thought it was really good, but it had moments in there where like you could really pick something that would really change major decisions. And I hope something like that is part of that. So I agree with you there, Garuda. That would be really dope, actually, if that played out. And if I don't know, somebody could be left behind or whatever. So I want to see how that plays out. The final one that I thought was Creatures of Ava. That didn't really do anything for me, but it definitely gave me.
Iffy. Yeah.
It gave
Everwild.
me. What was the name of that? What was the name of that game
Everwild.
that Rare was working on?
Yeah.
Everwild.
Yeah.
It definitely gave me Everwild vibes a little bit. It also made me wonder, like, is this what we were going to be doing? Like walking around, like taking pictures of pets or something? I don't know. So
Is this why I got more or less cancelled?
it was canceled, so this could walk. I don't know. We'll see how that one plays out. It doesn't look like it's for me. But yeah, that was my feelings. Overall, though, really solid show. If I had to rate it, I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was better than the developer direct necessarily, though.
An
But I would say
810.
yeah, neck and neck, just about. I think I did give the developer direct slightly less of a score, though.
Did you say 810?
So that means it's better.
8 out of 10, I said.
Yeah. Right. My bad.
I think I did give the developer direct a lesser score. I think I gave it
The
like
only
a
reason
7 or
why I said I
7.5.
liked it more than the dev direct is because I didn't like that, Indiana Jones was a third person game. I still think that's a miss, and I just don't like the look of Hellblade really. And there's just a few games that I just personally I didn't really like. So that's the only reason why I liked. It's just because I think, I'm enjoying the fresh takes that some of the smaller developers can do, the risks they're allowed to take, the different formulas they're bringing to the table, the different art styles, because they don't have so much pressure to succeed. So you can see a lot more innovation and stuff. That's what I'm enjoying about this showcase. Yeah.
Yep.
Blue?
And yeah, blue.
Umbra?
I was gonna say I'm finished.
Umbra blue?
Are
Blue?
you?
Where-
I am so sorry. I had an elaborate thought process here. I apologize.
It's okay. I just have to give you crap when I can because then I wouldn't be me. So, I'll work backwards. Path of the Goddess is really interesting. At first, I thought it was going to be kind of like a Mortal Kombat style because last summer when we saw it, it was just a lot of setup for one-on-one fights, right? And I was like, okay. But then it doesn't necessarily give that full vibe, right? And now I'm even more confused with the idea that there's these strategy elements in it, but I find that very interesting. And it's Capcom, and they're amazing. So I think it's going to be cool. And the color palette for it is absolutely beautiful. Frostpunk 2. None of you talked about it, but I was
Oh, yeah.
super excited for
Sorry.
that.
Yeah,
I
it
was
looked
just
cool.
like,
Have you
it
played
looks
the first one?
so cool. No, I've wanted to a couple times and gotten sidetracked quickly, but this one looks amazing, and it's on Game
Yeah, it
Pass.
does.
Mhm.
Oh, is
I
that
love
Game
the
Pass
look
as
of
well?
it. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It
damn.
is.
Wow.
Tales of Kinzera looks exactly like Prince of Persia, so that is a very hard pass for me.
What? I forgot to mention Tales of
Oh.
It just
Consider,
looked
by the
like
way.
it.
Yeah, it looks
It's
good.
been mentioned. I just went, is this another Prince of Persia already?
You are missing out. That game is so damn
I
good.
just.
It's fair enough though. If you're not into those kind of games, I could see.
I mean,
that
I
you
do
wouldn't.
like some of them. I hate the art style of these, and they look
Yeah.
exactly the same to me. So for me, it's a lot of it is about like the aesthetic of something. If I'm interested in it,
The skill issue. Yeah,
That's fair enough.
absolutely. Yeah.
and then there's the peanut gallery. The first Berserker looks very interesting. I was interested in that. Monster Jam, not my thing, but cool for monster truck people. Stalker, that was a huge thing. I was really, really excited to see that come in. The entire package that it was is $40 right now. I am wondering if it will hit Game Pass in 4 or 5 months, right before Stalker 2 comes out in Game Pass.
Yeah,
Might
can
not
see
be,
that.
but
I can see that. Or you impressed by it? It didn't look that visually
well, it's
remastered,
how many
if you
years
will.
old is
Yeah,
it?
very,
It's-
very old. Yeah.
Yeah. I know somebody is playing it and they said it was that the controls are a little clunky, but they were having a fantastic time in it. The Sinking City 2, none of you talked about that very much either, and that was a big highlight for
scary.
me. It looks scary, but like
Scary, too scary.
like to me, like Resident Evil is awesome. I'll totally play those. But Outlast too far, right? And I feel like Sinking City is not over that too scary line yet for me.
It's
It
who's
looks
the
really cool.
who's
though.
who's the god that's like a octopus? Cthulhu? Is it Cthulhu?
Cthulhu?
Cthulhu.
Yeah,
Cthulhu.
Cthulhu. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's
Yeah.
sort of based around that mythology, like that Cthulhu mythology, but also like
It is.
very, very much in his head.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah, because the first one was, and I think you sort of face off against Cthulhu. I can't remember too much, but I remember
That's cool.
the Sinking City one was pretty cool. So yeah, none of us mentioned that one, but it was one that I was like literally there was so many that I loved.
There
Like
are.
it's hard to catch them all, right?
I actually forgot. Yeah, I forgot about Tales of Kinzara. I blame Holly for this, but yeah.
He was just trying not to mention it because skill issue, and she gets
Roblox.
upset because it's fine. You
The
know.
Roblox stuff, I'm just going to talk over them. The Roblox look good. I looked fun. I don't know that I would go and well, I don't know I could get anybody else to play it with me, but it looked fun. There was Creatures of Ava, which didn't really look like my thing, but it looked interesting. It did look like Everwild, you're right. The Altars was my personal favorite
Oh, so
of the
good.
show.
Mhm.
And it's coming to Game Pass. And I'm very excited
Really?
about that.
Oh,
Mhm.
man.
Mhm.
So good.
Yeah. Sleight of Hand looked interesting, but no, I know Riskit, you were a little hesitant about it, but I thought that looked really good too.
I don't know
I
enough.
don't know. There was
I don't know.
a lot of
It d-
good ones.
It didn't get. It's like Path of the Goddess to sort of mention. Like it you kind of know, but you don't really know what this game's going to be, right? But Sleight of Hand, you just don't know. There's going to be cards in it that you do stuff with. That's what I know.
Mhm.
So it's like,
Well, I like card stuff. So if you don't like games that incorporate card-based systems, then yeah, that could be a problem.
oh yeah, I don't mind it, but it's how is it going to be done? Like, what's the is it it could be a TTS. Like we don't really know. We didn't really see any gameplay, so we don't know really anything about that game. So if it is, I mean, someone mentioned it was stealth, but I'm like, is it stealth? Because I don't really know. Like I couldn't tell. So I mean, it looks good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it looked bad at all. It was interesting, and I think everything there at least piqued my interest. So I agree. Like it does look good, I just don't know enough to be like, hell yeah. Like, I'm super excited for that one.
Yeah. And when you think about it, 14 games, it was 28 minutes. You know, with the transitions and stuff like that, at most you're seeing a minute and a half, minute and 45 of each game. So it's understandable that with a lot of these, unless it's like a sequel, right? So you kind of know what path they're in, it is going to be kind of a wait and see to see, you know, what type of gameplay a lot of these actually are.
Yeah, exactly. But there was just, honestly, it was probably one of the best showcases that they have ever put down. One thing that was missing that sort of removed a point for me, and I don't think I've ever given a showcase 9 out of 10. But I mean, and then I had King. It was really interesting. I had King Thrash come at me on Twitter, asked me what my favorite game was because he just couldn't believe I gave a 9 out of 10, and I told him it was Zao, Tales of Kanzira, and then he proceeded to ask me about everything about Zao, about the story. I'm like, bro, I don't know this story. I haven't played it.
How the hell would you know the story?
Well, you play a Zao who goes through this world in Kanzara, and he finds his African roots in a tree. Like, what would you tell him?
I don't know, man. He's a weird dude. But like, I did tell him. What I do love is you've got a day mask, a moon mask, and one is melee combat, and one is range combat. And like, I just love the sort of story behind it. He's been brought back from the dead, I think, to go and, you know, save the world or whatever it is. But I just really liked, and if you can go find the it's on the it'd be hard to find. I'll post it up on my Twitter later on, so if you guys want to go check it out. But the speech that the maker of the game gave at the Game Awards, it was just really, really good. I don't know if you remember, but he struggled to get his words out because obviously he was talking a lot about his dad who had passed away recently. So it was just, that to me just resonates. So I'm really, really excited for the game. There's not just the gameplay that I like, the art style that I like, you know, the skill level that I like that Blue can't quite get to, but also has a lot of emotional sort of attachment there. And I think when developers are making games that they're putting their heart and soul into, I think that very rarely goes wrong, especially when you got the backing of EA. So I really do expect this. I expect this to be better than Prince of Persia, and I fucking loved Prince of Persia. That was a great game.
It was damn good.
Yeah. I think,
and by the way, it's not that he's dead, by the way, but he ventures into the undead to bring back his grandfather.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And the gentleman who was on at the VGAs, his name is I know it's like Abu Baker or something like that. So I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's like Abu Baker Salim.
I'm sorry that I laughed, but Abu Baker.
Abu Bakr, I'd say it would be.
Abu
Bakr.
Abu
I would
Bakr.
say
Yeah,
that's how you pronounce it.
Okay.
I'm just gonna have a quick look because it. I'll post him up on my Twitter and guys, absolutely go and check out that speech. It was awesome. But maybe I'm getting old.
Hey, this deviation game stuff seems to be legit.
What's what?
It is.
Deviation
games that just closed.
Yeah, deviation games just shut down.
Shout out to Goat Status in the chat who first shared it.
Oh wow. Yeah, studio formed by ex-Call of Duty and Treyarch developers. They were developing, I believe, a AAA shooter in partnership with PlayStation. Has just shut down, yeah. But they actually dropped a lot of developers at the start of, mid-2023. So I sort of see this coming.
90 developers, but now they're saying their closure last Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, it's again sad to see more layoffs, more studio closures. It seems that anything and this is not me being an absolute bot, but it seems that anything that PlayStation touches at the moment just turns to absolute shit. So it's sad to see. But I hope that those developers filter off into another studio, or create another studio that doesn't affiliate themselves with the platform and just makes what they want to make, and we get a good game out of it. Look, I don't want to stick on that negative stuff because we've got so much negative stuff to cover. It's exciting. But before I do, I just wanted to call out Lotus the Spirit. They, them. Dropped a $50 super chat. Really appreciate it. Esprit, a spirit. I was trying to get it right. I was so sure I had it right. Lotus Esprit. I'm gonna I'm just going to type it as SPREE from now on, so I know. Lotus is free with $50 super chat. You're an absolute legend. He did a little karate kick emoji thing, and appreciate you. Thank you. Yadani Quizada with the $5 super chat says, hi to the average sweet baby ink enjoyers of the Infinite podcast. Raise a fine cup of Soylent to you. May I entertainment propagandize the wrong think.
I, for one, am a sweet baby enjoyer.
I'm just taking
very sus, bro.
I'm taking a moment to digest all of that.
I take that back.
Yeah, I probably would. It's terrible.
I call my women sweet baby. Ignore that. And
well,
they
look,
are
with-
all
Umbra.
adults with
Umbra,
Yes.
turn around and walk 10 steps back. There's the line.
Yeah.
Turn around. Look, do a 360
You're going the wrong
and
way.
No, you got to use the old one. Do a 360 and walk away.
Oh, man.
Use the
I'm
old
an engineer.
tried
I know
and
that's not right.
So that does sort of lead us into a topic, and it wasn't going to be the next topic, but I'll clap back to the next topic. We'll go straight to the sweet baby ink stuff because we're obviously going to have to talk about that. And I know there's a lot of podcasts that are avoiding this, and we will very carefully talk about this topic. And well, I guess I won't very carefully talk about it. I don't think I've ever carefully talked about anything, but I think everyone else will. So here's my view. So if you guys don't know, earlier in the week, a Steam player created a Steam curated list of games that that Sweet Baby have had involvement with. I believe it was called Sweet Baby Detected. One of the higher ups, can't remember her name, in Sweet Baby decided to call that out and ask people to go and report and basically tried to have the page and the gamer profile cancelled. It completely backfired. I think at the time that Sweet Baby's employees called it out, it was sitting at around about 17,000. I think at last count that I checked, it was up to 174,000 people had subscribed to this page, which I find hilarious. If you try to I am completely against canceling people, even people that I don't like. I don't think they should be cancelled. I don't think anyone should be deplatformed. I don't think anyone should make that decision. I think that should just be a group society decision that if they suck, we don't pay attention to them and they go away. I don't think a platform should just take someone's platform away. It's private enterprise, so they can. I just disagree with that because free speech and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot to this. So I guess I just want to broadly give my opinion on it because there is a lot to it. So, there's a lot like the Sweet Baby employees. People have gone back through their tweets up until around about 2014. Some of the things that they say are completely against the ethos of the company, which is to bring inclusivity, diversity into gaming, which I don't overarchingly have a problem with. I think that's okay. I think it's okay to have contractors that come in and do story writing. I think how you do it and your intentions behind it are what's important. And if you do it well, and I think in a lot of cases, some of these games are being blamed, like Sweet Baby is being blamed for, just poor writing where it's probably not to do with them. It might be, I don't know. But it probably isn't to do with them in a lot of cases. I think they're just copping the brunt of it. But I think also there's a lot of wrong on Sweet Baby's side. So I'm not at all, in any way trying to minimize the things that they've said and done. And again, like I say, it's how you do it and the quality with which you do it, which is important to me, because at the end of the day, I have to play your game. So I guess what I would say overarchingly, and then I want to go to the panel because I don't want to spend too long on this one. My view is, and this is where we're going to get a little bit political, guys. So I do apologize, but this is probably going to happen. So my view on this is, I do not want what I call and if you want me to define this term, I can, but I'm just going to use the term. And if it needs definition, call it out in the chat, or guys in the panel, if you want me to define it, let me know. I don't like checkbox diversity. I have an issue with trying to fill quotas for the sake of filling quotas. I guess the definition of that is like, we need to have an Asian guy, we need to have a black guy, we need to have a Latino guy, and we need to have a female, and we need to, like, I don't think you should create a story and then try to shoehorn people into the story, right? I think as a creator, if you're writing a story, you should write the story that makes sense to you with the characters in it that that benefit your story, the way that it makes sense to you, because obviously not everyone writes stories in the same way, from the same background, from the same history. Like, it's not a thing. I do agree that there is a lack of diversity, or has been historically. I do see coming into gaming that there is a lot of really great games, and I can't remember the name of an Indian game that I played a while ago that was on Game Pass, and it had an Indian female protagonist set within an Indian sort of background, and that was a really interesting game to play. Didn't complete it. It was pretty good though. Kinzira, Zhao. That is, I think, diversity done right. It's a story told from someone's perspective, and I really don't think you should fuck with the creative process by shoehorning in any characters, be they white, be they black, be they purple with fucking yellow polka dots. Like, I just don't think you should fuck with people's stories. The other thing that I sort of see happening with this is you've got story writers within your studio. And I guess I sort of was looking at this as a HR issue, right? Because if you are lacking diversity within your storytelling department, I don't think it's checkbox or shoehorning in to hire in diversity at all, because that's just recognizing that you want different perspectives in your story writing department. Now, that said, here's where I'm going to a little bit contradict myself. If you look back at the Arkham series and then all the way to this particular series, Suicide Squad, that Sweet Baby had some involvement in, the original game started with 2 writers. The next game was 4. The following game, I think, was 8 or 12, somewhere in that realm. Suicide Squad had 26 story writers, and half of them were from Sweet Baby. That is just a fucking case of too many. This is where I think that Sweet Baby's getting a bit of a raw deal. I think that they are being blamed for a little, in some ways, for Suicide Squad being a bad game because of their involvement. And that is true, I think, but not in the way that I think everyone's sort of trying to palm it off to them. It's true in the fact that too many cooks are in that kitchen trying to write a story that just came out terrible. There is, and look, I will admit, there is sections, there is things in that game that you can sort of point to and go, that feels a little bit like you've Sweet Baby sort of influence. However, I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt. Look, that's sort of my view. I don't, I can go more into it if people want to know what I think, and maybe I'll do a video on it. I just think that if you're preaching inclusivity, you should just be inclusive. And I just don't like, this is where I get, I guess, political, and you guys get to sort of see my views behind the scenes. I really don't like, and I call it identity politics, and you can name it whatever it is, but what it is generalizing anyone based on their color, religion, or creed. I really don't like it. And it's not, I guess it's not racist to do so, in circumstances and how, but I think it's used against groups, it's used for groups. And I just feel like you take something away from the individual if you're going to boil them down to the color of their skin. And I don't think that that's fair on any human being to do. And so I guess I live in a fairy tale world on Gumdrop Lane where I would like to see us just completely forget that skin color is a factor and then just take people, I guess, the content of their character, right? That famous quote, not judge them by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I would like to see a world like that. I don't think we live in it. But I guess that's my take. I guess I'll kick it over to the panel. I just think that maybe Sweet Baby isn't going about what they're trying to achieve in the right way and with the right intentions. And yeah.
I would agree. Do you want to call on us to go, or
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, to be more of a freestyle.
I think I've said my bit.
So as you all can kind of tell, Riskit was being very tactful because it's a serious situation, right? And the problem with it is, and I say this, and I hate to say it like this, but I say this as a black man. It's true. I have to say it that way to give a bit of context. I can see both sides of this, right? But then there lies the rub for me because I am also a stickler for staying true to the source material. That's why I had such an issue with what they did with Suicide Squad, because it violates the source material. You violated who Batman was. You violated the relationships between any of those characters. It was clear forced agendas in it when you have Lex Luthor of all people talking about toxic masculinity. It's like, why would he be saying that? Lex doesn't care about that. Come on. Just things like that really helped show that they were pushing agenda into the things. You don't have to do that. Just deliver a solid game. And I don't think that you should have to take any of your, I think, ideologies and real world things and struggles or issues and try to push that into a game to make people see it your way, because people are going to reject that. It's not organic, right? That's what it ultimately comes down to. There are better ways to go about doing it, is my point. So especially when people kind of build up the, they're forcing this on us thing, then it blows up and becomes something worse. And that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing this feedback loop on people all rejecting. It was something of that person who made the Sweet Baby Inc. Identify thing on Steam. It jumped from like how many risk? Like from like 100 people to like 3,000 in like 8 like a day or something or less. So it's like people will join into something to reject something they feel that you're forcing onto them, right? And that's where the problem lies. It's like, organically do this. If you're writing an original story and you write these characters into it, nobody can sit there and be like, oh, they did this thing. But when you're changing established characters into making them something else, or into making them act a different way or behave, I don't know why convinced you to run in front of your gun like that. I'm sorry, I'm watching your gameplay and I got PTSD from your autocannon. So I say all that to say, and it got you too, didn't it? Yep. Yeah, that's what you get. So I say all that to say is that you can organically tell these stories, and people can push these agendas if they will, and get their ideologies out there, but do it in an original game. Don't do it in established characters and change things up that people are not going to be cool with, because people grew up on these characters. If I can say this as somebody who grew up reading comics. I grew up reading DC. I grew up reading Marvel. Marvel being my favorite. Spider-Man being my all-time favorite character. I know when you're changing something that's untrue to that character and to that world. So, for instance, when you have a Mary Jane, for instance, who is now, who was all for decades and hell a generation, a supermodel, is now suddenly, I don't want to say homely, but she's very clearly not a supermodel anymore. And you're making her, trying to force her into a role of a superhero. And not only are you forcing her into a role as a superhero or as a hero when you don't have to, because like, oh yeah, see, women can do this too. It's so unnecessary especially when you have Black Cat in the game and you could have easily had Black Cat do that. That's one.
Can
Two,
I just quickly interject to hold that two for 2 seconds? Because
sure.
Lotus Esprit was just saying, are they anti them, they, or so I would say, and this is not a stretch to say, but they're not anti anyone unless you're a white male. So that seems to be the
Sweet Baby you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Well, Sweet Baby, I would say, they seem to have more anti-white male thing than anything because of the patriarchy. But I will say this: I said this in the green room, and this is how I look at Sweet Baby, and I put it like this: I said, the thing I look at them, I don't think any of them got into this to say, "Hey, we're going to be the bad guys and force our thoughts on the people, and who cares that they get mad and that we're doing this to their long established beloved franchises and IP. We're going to do it because we're evil." I think much like the best villains, and I said this is before we got live, is that they did this because they thought it was the right thing, right? I think that's the thing, and that they're doing what they feel is right, but they're going about it in all the wrong ways. And that's, I think, is the biggest problem with all of this, because they feel they're right, but clearly a lot of us see them as wrong. And again, I'm a stickler for you kind of sticking to what that character was. And I've been reading Spider-Man for all of my life. I'm 42 years old. I do not want to see deviations from that too far, where all of a sudden Peter is emasculated in game and can't do anything suddenly, even though he's been Spider-Man for the better part of years. It's like, come on. Now suddenly he can't do anything. Now suddenly I have to go and unite somebody at a prom and have them, set up a date. That's not what I signed up to play Spider-Man for. And that's when you could tell it's like a forced thing. And if anybody knows what I'm talking about with the prom thing, you know what I mean. I wouldn't care if they were a straight couple. It's just not what I signed up for Spider-Man for. So just kind of take a lot of that out of that, I would think, and just kind of give us a good game. And that's what I would prefer from any developer, because ultimately most of us, I'm not going to say all, but most of us, I would venture to say, jump into these games to escape. It's escapism. Same thing as comics, same thing as video games and movies or whatever. Movies probably lesser so, because there are a lot of documentaries and based on real life things, but you get what I'm saying. We get it to escape from the everyday ho-hum of life. I don't want you to force real life into this. I don't want to have a realistic lady who is like, oh, why is her chest size like this? That's not realistic. Okay, I get it. That's not what I signed up for this game for. Also, it's one-sided, because they don't do that with these muscularly, well-toned, beautiful men that they put in these games. It's only for the ladies. And I get that too. I get why, because traditionally, even in fantasy or whatever it is, they always had the ladies all, scantily clad and all of those things. I get it. But I think the reaction to kind of try to correct that has gone so far where it has hurt what their endeavors were more than helped. You know what I mean? And that's the biggest thing. And that's why so many people were rallying around like Stellar Yams, right? And that's why so many people are like, oh yeah, that'll be the game that changes things. And I can guarantee you this, Stellar Blade is going to sell record crazy numbers just because it's a political statement, much like Hogwarts. Hogwarts was a political statement. They used that game, both sides used that game to say, hey, we're going to vote negatively against this and give it bad ratings, and we're not going to give it any awards. And those who didn't like what they were doing said, we're going to buy this game, and I'm going to buy 2 copies. And that's why it ended up being the best sold game of last year. You see what I mean? So they're going to do, this is going to be the same thing with Stellar Blade, because it's a reaction to that. And they're going to try to say, this is what we want you to do. So I think there's room for everything. I don't think there needs to be anybody excluded. And especially as a black man, I understand 100% about representation and seeing yourself in some of these things, right? And that's why now, it used to be a point, I'm just going to share this and I'm going to get off the mic. It used to be a point where before, I would even admit that when I was younger, I didn't understand as much. And so when I would play as these characters and they were all white, I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought it was the de facto thing. right? But when I got older, I understood how important it was to have representation of yourself, to see yourself in a lot of these characters. I get that. So that's why I say I think Sweet Baby's intentions may have been good, but they've gone about it in the absolute wrong way, if that makes sense to anybody. And I think that's what's hurting the situation. They don't have to force these things. There are more organic ways to approach it, and I think they have just not done that. And then some of the comments they've made, of course, have been horrible. Like, I can understand if I was a white brother, I would understand seeing stuff like that written. Just translate that and put black instead. Yeah, I'd be looking at them like, hold on now. Where's Jesse Jackson at? I'm going to have to get you canceled. You know what I mean? So I understand 100% how that must feel for everybody else seeing that, or white guys seeing that and seeing them saying these things, and call them racist because of that. I 100% understand it. And that's why I say that, and I wouldn't put that on the whole of Sweet Baby, but then you have people who are in leadership doing that. So, it's problematic all around. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I don't think there needs to be any forced diversity or anything else like that. Just organically do that, and don't do it by race swapping and all these other things. I don't want you to race swap anybody or change the gender of anybody. Just create new characters or add new characters. There are plenty of other characters out there, black characters, for instance, that can be added to a world that doesn't take away from anything. You know what I mean? And that's really what it comes down to. And it's a lot of arguments to be made around that too, but I don't have all day to get into it. But at the end of the day, I think they're just misguided. That's what I would say.
Yeah, I think one other thing as well is that when the kickback also is very open to being hijacked. A lot of movements. I call this a movement. Gamergate 2.0. But it's like, I made a post about Sweet Baby before this even sort of blew up. Nothing too much. I just said I was a little bit worried about some of the games coming from Xbox, because Xbox does work with Sweet Baby. So, and there was a couple of guys in there, I would say, hijacked that thread and were a little bit leaning on the right side. So, yeah, it's concerning. I, as always with stuff like this, I don't fence it, but I usually try to look at it from every perspective, and I think everyone should. To their intentions, Umbra, I'd probably push back on. I don't think they think they're doing anything wrong, but I think some of the things that have been said from some of the higher ups within Sweet Baby are just categorically wrong, that you shouldn't be saying those things.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. That's what I was saying. Like, I don't think the actions they're trying to do, or at least what they originally intended, was meant to be like evil mustache twirly, right? Mm-hmm. But definitely those in the higher up positions, that you can't go out there doing that. It sets a bad precedent automatically. And if you're saying that here openly, what are you saying behind the scenes? That's the way I would look at it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, which is, I mean, we talk about the media like this. We say the media, you see this sort of stuff on the surface where they tend to lean towards PlayStation. What do they say behind the scenes? Same sort of thing. Garuda?
Yeah, so this is a very, obviously, a prickly one. And I'm very much of the demographic that has to be very careful about what they say and how they say it for fear of being misconstrued or sort of... you know what I mean? So, but I will say, look, I'm going to say this carefully anyway and give my opinion as diplomatically as I can. But this Sweet Baby stuff, look, I'm happy that there is some sort of, what would you say, mediator or regulator in terms of consultation that developers can turn to. But I don't want them to be very much what Umbra said. I echo a lot of what he said as far as don't go back and change the law of a video game series just to force inclusivity or diversity if it has nothing to do with that for the sake of it. I wouldn't do. I don't want to see that. Or like it's a hard one, because inclusion and diversity, they are important. Of course they are, but not for no reason. Not just because, right? It has to be applied in the right manner. So, for example, if GTA 6 were to come out and, you know, you're walking down in the rich neighborhoods and the fancy, you know, yuppie neighborhoods, and it's all rich white guys, you know, in their fast cars and everything like that. And then you go to some of the, you know, less fortunate neighborhoods, and it's all people of color and things like that. Like, you know, do something. Like, man, that's not on, okay? Or if there's blatant racism in some of these products that are releasing, and you know, that's good to have someone to be able to regulate these things. Of course it is. You know, we don't want to see people, you know, be upset or sort of be victimized and things in video games. Like Umbra said, we're here to escape all that bullshit. You know, there's enough of that in the world and we don't want to see that. But if you are going to make some game set in, you know, 16th century England, I'm not expecting to see a bunch of Asian people running around and you know, one or two white guys or something, you know, and I'm not going to expect to see, you know, a whole bunch of, you know, play as a white guy in Tales of Kenzera. Like, let's just be realistic about all this stuff as well, you know, like let's be careful about how we approach things, but, and bring in diversity, bring in inclusivity, and get rid of the race bullshit, but not at the detriment of the content. You know, I didn't play, what is it, Suicide Squad, or Spider-Man. Like, to be honest with you, superhero games aren't, you know, typically my thing. So, but from what I understand about the stories, they were very much impacted by, you know, this what would you say, this, oh, I don't want to say it like that, but they've been impacted negatively just for the sake of inclusion and diversity, and it was to the detriment of the product at the end, and that's what I don't want to see. If you are going to tell me that you're making a product and you're aiming for historical accuracy, then I want that to be historically accurate in terms of diversity and inclusivity as well. If a certain race of people from whatever background or culture wasn't present in the lore or the history that you're telling me, then that's fine, because that's history as it were. But of course, if there's going to be sort of anyone going to be, there's always going to be people offended no matter what way you go. But I just want us to be realistic and a little bit thoughtful, and you know, don't add these things if it's going to take away from the product. And we're starting to see that. You know, we're starting to see Sweet Baby come in, and I'm not sure if it's sort of agenda or politically motivated. If those two things come into this at all, we've already failed. They've failed immediately. If they have an agenda that they're pushing, or it has any sort of political motivation whatsoever, it's over for me. Like I that's where a failure is come into effect.
I mean, one thing I'll say as well is my original post was like, I don't want this politics in my game. A lot of people pointed out, they're like, this game's about has a political tone to it, and this game has a political tone to it, and this game has, you know, like Metal Gear Solid's, but like yeah, but it's not the same. Right? It's not
as
like,
long as they're not pushing, as long as it's not agenda based. Okay, if you're trying to push a certain agenda,
but it could be. It can be agenda based, but it needs to be part of the overarching story, right? If you're just
if you're just adding it for the sake of adding, it's got nothing to do with the lore or history of the story you're trying to tell, then don't put it in there. Okay, that's all I'm saying basically. Like, you know, the race stuff. Look. Oh man, look, racism absolutely sucks, you know, and we've come a long way as humans of eliminating it, but it's obviously still there, you know. I hate racism and stuff like that. It's just a scourge, just like greed, you know. It's just a scourge on the human race, and I don't know how you really fix that, you know. My wife's, you know, dark skinned. You would pretty much say black and Asian, and my daughter's Asian, so of course, you know, that hits home for me as well, but. Let's not take away from the product, and you know, if you got a political agenda to push, go and be a politician. Don't fucking bring it into our games. Leave our games alone. You know, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, fair. Blue, jumping to you.
So I kind of told the person with the most amazing name, the elemental hero, the Shadow Link Dragon Wolf King. I love it.
Wow.
love it. It takes 2 lines to say for that in the chat.
You're like a boss from Elden Ring or something.
It is. It's amazing. I bet character creators don't let you put that whole thing in though when you're doing it. I've seen a few videos on this because, up until like 2 weeks ago, I'd probably never heard of Sweet Baby Inc. So I've watched a few videos, but they've come from pretty skewed perspectives. And it's hard to form an opinion when you're not there to see how things are actually affecting it, right? Like what is their actual influence? So the way I understand it is that they are sort of a consulting company that can be hired by game developers to assist with writing, narrative direction, visuals, just different elements of the way a game company develops games. And if I'm saying anything wrong, feel free to correct, if I've misunderstood any of this. I was poking around their website a little bit and looking at, kind of what they say that they do. And that was some of the stuff I thought that was on there. They list some of the games that they're working on. South of Midnight was listed on there, along with, some of the other ones that you guys have talked about. So I guess my thought on, there's always the idealistic of what something is versus what it actually accomplishes, right? Certainly I think that everyone has a fair right to representation or being, we are drawn to things that we feel a connection to, right? So it's understandable that, everybody should have a connection to something. And so having the consultation purposes of looking at a product and saying, you're really like this type, this class, whatever, is not represented appropriately, or you have some information wrong, or something here could be deemed offensive, or whatever. I think it is completely understandable to have a company that consults on the back end of a project or mid-step or whatever, that does just sort of an analysis, right? Like, here's what we found. Take it or leave it. It's up to you. But the idea of bringing writers into a studio on a temporary basis to work with the team that's there. I'm just going to use writers as an example. I feel like that's problematic to the project on the whole, because I feel like writing is an extremely artistic talent, right? You have to be very creative. You have to build these worlds through storytelling. It's very unique and special. And when, like Riskit was talking about, when you look at the number of writers on previous successful projects, right? And at how it's grown and grown, more cooks in a kitchen, the more a vision can get lost. And that's with anything. When you have more people, it can dilute the intent of the original story. Or the other thing is that because it is so artistic, I feel like that the group that is working on that portion of a project needs to have a cohesion, right? You all have to understand where the story is intending to go, have a good feel of each other, and know how to develop that story in a way that you all agree on and gets from A to B. So hiring somebody to come in for representation and work with a team on a limited basis, I feel like that disrupts a lot of that process. But it doesn't mean that there isn't an opportunity or a way for them to consult that out and just ask for opinions, but then let the game studio, take those into consideration right? And say, is this something that we feel like, we can fit into this and make it still the intent that we had? If not, then maybe it's something we need to table or look at it in a different way or use, a different portion of game development for that. I'm not sure that the way it's being handled is maybe the best way to do it. I'm not saying it's not a bad idea overall, but how it's actually being handled is maybe the problem. But then, to use the Suicide Squad as a as an example, just to be honest and fair, there's a lot of issues with that game, and it's not just because they had this consulting firm, or hired people through Sweet Baby to work in there. There's a lot of issues going on at WB that are beyond just this.
Oh yeah.
So, that's not necessarily an exact, 1-to-1, right, on their influence, but obviously, we all want great stories. We all want great content. I personally, historical stories, I feel like should be historically accurate, right?
Yeah.
And because you don't want, the part of the importance of history is that you learn it and you remember it so that you don't make same mistakes again in the future, right? And so, it just, there's just a lot of things that I feel like if this is happening the way I think it is, there's maybe a better methodology for what they're doing.
Or maybe they're not the right people for it. I really,
or maybe
truly,
they're not the right one, right? I don't know either, right? Or maybe it's, they're in Montreal, so maybe the culture in Montreal and what they're accomplishing there isn't right for Australia, or like, games set in different parts of the world, or know what I'm saying?
Space, there's definitely there's space for a company like this. There definitely is, 110%. But a company like this would be really hard to put together, like properly put together, right? Because if you want to have real, true inclusiveness, you would need people from all parts of the globe. Because how does it work? So if I was a company and I'm doing a game set in the Middle East, I'm probably not going to hire the guys from Montreal for that. I probably want to get someone from the Middle East, someone who's an expert in, history, culture, and all that sort of stuff. So while I think there's room for this sort of consultation, I don't know if you can put a company together that's effective to do so. And I also,
unless you just widespread grabbing all those people, like you said, unless they're really reaching out to consult with people who are in all these different type of environments, you know what I mean, who actually have those experiences. So that's the only real way. Now they could possibly
do it.
I think
it's
to do that, not permanent, but
that's a hard company to run and make money off personally, because you've got to have your creative, and then you've got to have the creative really truly listen to the culture. And I in a lot of ways, I chose the Middle East because they're at loggerheads with a lot of what we believe in, or we had subscribed to in the Western culture. And so I would find that relationship, say it was Sweet Baby reaching out, I would find that relationship to be pretty strained, because it doesn't adhere to the types of narratives that I've sort of seen. When I have seen it shine through in a game, and sometimes it's been obvious. Spider-Man 2, it was obvious. It doesn't align with what Sweet Baby's their value, what I perceive their values to be, and so I sort of think that it's a tough one. It's a very tough one. I think they can exist in the space, but I think you have to be extremely open-minded to do that. And I'm willing to give it a go. So Xbox Infinite is becoming a consultation the Infinite podcast is becoming a consultation firm. Reach out. We write great stories. Spider-Man stories are our one of Umbra's specialties. So you can find us at.
Listen, We have an Australian here. You got a black guy. You got a lovely lady. We got you. We have you covered.
We
We're
got
here for
everyone
you.
from all over the globe.
Right.
I want to move on to the next topic, which again is just,
before you did, I did
Yeah.
want to add one thing before you did.
Definitely.
And I thought it was important to say this because I had been watching some of these videos, the reactions and such. Shout out to the people like Kyle, and I'm sure some people don't like him, but shout out to Kyle and Endymion and such like the Endymion rather, and other people who cover this. What I will say is this: I think they've been mostly responsible in saying, "Hey, don't you guys go and target these people who we're speaking on," which they did the responsible thing. Both of these gentlemen, however. Some in the fan base absolutely will do that regardless of what they just said. So part of the problem is this too with the sweet baby thing. A lot of the reactions and the volatile reactions are coming from people who couldn't give a damn less about inclusion and all these other things. And some of those people make it hard for, I think, people like us who have well intentions and say, hey, we just don't like you pushing your ideology and politics in games where it should not be about that. Some of these people just don't like other people. And you know what I mean by that. Some of these people don't care for black people. Some of these people don't care for trans, et cetera, et cetera. So I think part of this whole, menagerie of nonsense comes down to more than just one thing. It's not just people having pure intentions of wanting their properties and such not to be influenced. Some of these people are bigots. So I would say for those who are too far extreme, I think we have to be on the lookout for that too, because some are taking this and saying, yes, I can jump in this. That's that leftist nonsense. We have to be careful of that. I would say I am more aligned with the left. I'm more progressive. However, I don't like any of this. So you can't just tie me into the left. You see what I mean? I don't like it. Now, I'm not going to go hug a tree, but my whole point of it is that I have some right leanings too, to be fair, by the way. But I'm just saying that there has to be a line where we don't allow ourselves to go too far in disliking what they do, that we write off, the humanity of groups of people too in the process, or at least get involved with people who are doing that. So that's what I would say. Sorry about that, Risk.
Yeah. It's again sort of goes back to what I was saying is people are going to try to hijack the movement, and yeah, I mean it's just part of culture at the moment, like in Western society, unfortunately. But yeah, I push back on those people if you get a chance to. And again, I would say to us, our guys, don't go and attack. I know none of you guys in the chat would, or any of you guys listening, go and attack. These guys. Just I would leave it be. I think the community's sort of spoken, and then we can speak around instead of around the issues and the things that we don't like. And specifically, I put a post up around about Fable. Sorry.
Did you see the sweet baby head? I believe got his Twitter suspended today too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, he got suspended? I know somebody was like hiding there, or at least
yeah, they got
what's the
suspended.
word? Oh wow.
Mm-hmm. Naughty sweet baby. Anyway, sorry, I'm used to speaking to 2-year-olds. Hey, we're going to move on to the next topic. Before we do move on to the next topic, Spriggan113, Dante with $20 super chat. Thank you, man. He will be on next week. Looking forward to that. He said, sending love to my people, and one of the best chats. So much had to give it all in caps. No cap though. Thank you very much, Dante. You're an absolute champion. Looking forward to chatting to you next week. So just the next topic I want to move on to, and this became more relevant this morning. Exclusives, are they important? Is the topic that I've got down. So I've had some really interesting conversations and throughout the week, because a lot of people have pushed back on the idea that exclusives are important anymore, and all of a sudden we've moved into a new age where exclusives don't matter. And that is simply just not true. And maybe there is a future in which it is true, but not the future that I see, and not the future that I know about, exclusivity will still be important. So one of the interesting arguments for removing exclusivity is that Xbox will be everywhere. Absolutely true. I think that's what their push is towards, quite clearly that's what they're doing. However, unless Xbox becomes a full third-party publisher, which from what I know is not happening and is not the plan going into the future. And if you have a platform, you still need reasons for people to come to that platform, because there will always be other platforms for people to go to. You know, if you've got Windows, you've got Apple, you've got their OS. If you've got Netflix, you've got Prime. If you've got anything that is a platform that is content-based, right? You need to have a reason why your content or why you have content that they want. You either have all the content or you have exclusive content, right? You can't have all the content if you're Netflix, because Prime's not going to give it to you. HBO's not going to give it to you. Disney's not going to give it to you. So you need to, you can't have that content. So you can't provide your customers with that content. And so you need to have content that is just as good or better to bring people into that platform. Netflix is a platform. It's a subscription service, but it's a platform. I don't think people think of these things as platforms, but they are. Okay, it is a digital platform where you can stream your movies and entertainment. Just like Xbox is a platform. At the moment, that platform is attached to a box. If that box goes away, but the platform remains, and I mean Xbox in some sort of way, maybe it remains as an operating system that sits directly on your PC. Maybe it's a handheld, maybe whatever it is. You will still need to have content that brings people to the platform. There is no argument that I have heard from anyone, and I welcome the argument. If someone has one, right, I am 110% willing to listen. If someone has an argument for this, I would love to see it. But as far as I can tell, there is no argument against having a platform and having to provide exclusive content for that platform, because it's how these companies compete. Do I think it's good for consumers? No, not really. But then, yes, I do. Because if Netflix, Prime, Disney, all these companies, all of a sudden, the regulators said, you guys can't have exclusive content and you need to share everything that you have everywhere. What does it become? It'll become a price war, right? A price and feature war. That's what will happen, right? Then we boil it down to eventually it will be unsustainable for some of those platforms. It'll come down to who's got the biggest dick, which is who's got the biggest bank account, who to survive that war. When everyone is dead, but that one platform, they're going to recoup their costs, right? So in a very roundabout way, it is good for consumers for these companies to have exclusives. It doesn't directly benefit, but if you can understand how a market works, it is preferable for these companies to have, for us to have more than one subscription. So, I mean, on the surface, I would love to just have one fucking subscription service that I go to that has everything. That would be amazing. But if it costs me $300 a month, not so good, right? So you got to think.
It's called cable. It's called cable. That's exactly what we're headed back to. I mean, as far as like, you know, because the TV aspect, right, is ahead of the gaming, right? It's following the same trend as what TV is. And that's what we did. We all hated cable, right? You hated cable. And then Netflix came along. And then everybody else. And now everybody's sick of all the different ones. And now they're consolidating. So we're just going right back to one streaming service that's going to cost you. Now it's just on the internet instead of a cable that comes into your house.
One service to rule them all.
I mean,
that's what's happening.
Going to Hargate's thoughts, and I've seen this thought as well, as a reason as to why. That might be a reason as to why, absolutely. But that does not remove the need for exclusives. If Microsoft is trying to act like a third-party publisher and walk the line of not killing their platform at the same time as gobbling up people in the industry. There's a limit to how many companies they will let Microsoft gobble up. I'm telling you, it is not a very big limit. 110%. So that
I would
cannot be the
also
only reason.
add too, like the reality we're seeing with all these layoffs. I mean, I would almost venture to guess that Microsoft might want to slow down in general. Internally, I'm sure they've already been like, all right, that's enough until they can get some major sales going. I don't think they want to acquire any major big publishers anymore. Yeah.
Agreed.
I hate to say that because I'm a greedy type that want them to get more and put it in the Game Pass, but I feel like the way the landscape is now, and we're probably going to see more layoffs, unfortunately to say.
If we don't hear, if we don't hear, sorry to jump in real quickly, but if we don't hear from Microsoft acquiring Saber, because they're making Space Marines too, right? That's probably not content that Microsoft needs, but it's an easy buy for them. If we don't hear them looking into buying Crystal Dynamics, because they're on the table as well, apparently, from Embracer, if we don't hear them making any sort of a play for any one of Embracer's studios in the next, say, 3 months, then I would say that that thought is probably flawed, extremely flawed. And I would agree with you, Umbra, 110%.
Yeah.
Anyone who's working currently, like all of those third-party studios who are working on Microsoft Xbox first-party IP, if they don't buy those guys, they're not going to buy anyone. That's what I think. Because why wouldn't you try and wrap up why wouldn't you try and wrap up the talent that is number one potentially on the market and number two working on your first-party games? Like it makes sense.
Crystal Dynamics is a no-brainer. And so if they don't go after them,
Idols as well, I think.
Idols too. But if they don't, and especially if they get the IP of, Tomb Raider and all that with it, which I believe they were originally trying to do years ago when they had Laura featured clearly with Master Chief and everybody else in their banner. But so if they don't go for either of them, that would tell me that things have changed in the background where they're not looking to necessarily
100%.
acquire anybody right now.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I can't see a reason why realistically they need to. I mean, they just shed a studio, Toys for Bob. And I sort of believe that the reason that they shed them was because that the layoffs would have affected Toys. Yeah, I think they were the next shutdown. So yeah, I mean, I think in an environment when you're laying off thousands of people, you are shutting down studios or shedding studios. I don't feel like that. I think acquisition season is officially over. And I think, the thing is, it doesn't make sense, right? Because you're sending 4 games over to test the waters that aren't your biggest IP. If you're going to test the waters on another platform, right, it makes sense to send over one of your biggest IP.
But did Phil, was that the compromise that Phil made? Because I really don't think Phil wanted to do this. I think this is more of a case of the top brass kind of pushing it and Phil saying, okay, but I choose the games. And he might know that these games aren't going to do particularly well, especially the 2 single-player ones that are going across. And I think that's going to be his argument to the Microsoft shiny bums to say, look, no more single-player games. They didn't do well. But hey, these live service games, these multiplayer games, they're doing great. So in future, we can just put those on other platforms, but we're going to keep our single player stuff in house. That's what I think.
Well, listen,
That's
I can tell you something because I'm not throwing anyone under the bus here. And I've kept this under my hat for quite some time. But I've now confirmed this with 4 separate sources. I haven't seen any documentation or banners that would prove it, but I have confirmed it with 4 separate sources that also say the same thing. So there is a Hellblade 2 port for PlayStation.
That's fucking bullshit.
That's
like,
what
I don't mean it's not true. I just mean that's ridiculous. That's a dumb thing.
I really think what they're going to do is that they've tested the waters slightly, and I think they're going to get, if it's not Phil, I think they're going to get further pushed to try something, and I think Hellblade and Starfield will be the 2 games that they send over to either finalize we're not doing this or finalize we are going to do this.
If they do those two games, in my opinion, they might as well not have an Xbox. Honestly, that's just my opinion. Like a console. It's ridiculous, man. Those kind of games, you are doing more damage to your platform than the money you gain from having them on other platforms. I get the live service stuff, but those single player games, nah, man. They've got to be your big carrots that you try to get people to come into your ecosystem for. I just think that it's so frustrating. They were so close to finally being there, to finally realize the potential of the platform, and then it's disappointing, man. Anyway.
Yeah, look, it is disappointing. I've had plenty of time to sit with it and get right with it. So, and the what I came to is that, you know, I'm always going to be Xbox, and that's fine. And, you know, that port may never see the light of day and things may change. But knowing that port exists, and knowing that a Starfield port exists, it's pretty concerning, which is why I've not been like, there's a lot of people, and look, there's going to be a lot of people that go like, you're full of shit. And that's fine. But I know what I know. And I obviously operate with the knowledge. You operate differently with the knowledge that you have, right? So we've seen a lot of people in the last, you know, since the podcast going, it's only 4. Well, it's not only 4 for me. For me, it's 6, and 2 of them are huge. And I'm not sure how the community will react to that. And look, to be honest with you, I'm only saying it today because, you know, we've got the intimate chat happening. We don't have mass amounts of people in, and it probably won't even get out. So that, but I definitely wanted to talk about it. So if that's the case, right, it didn't make sense to send the first 4, if that's the case, though, because you would send your biggest, your best and your brightest and see how they do. And I still don't think that they'll do well. I just don't think that the games that Xbox have appeal to that audience. And I do think they're different audiences. I do think there's a bit of crossover. I think they're different audiences. And yeah.
I think Sea of Thieves and Grounded will do well. They're not only because they're sort of multiplayer games and community-based games. That's one aspect of it. But the other thing is they are damn good games that people, I think, on both PlayStation and Switch will gravitate to. And I think those 2 games will actually benefit from that. I can see the positive. I don't think it's a good idea to. I would personally rather not see them go to other platforms because I think exclusives for Xbox are important. But I think Sea of Thieves and Grounded will grow because they're community driven. And, you know, the updates and everything are based around the community. So the bigger the community, the better outcome for the game, basically. But
and that makes sense. Yeah.
Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment, no, any single player game, no, you're not going to sell that much. Like, surely they understand. They would know that they're not going to. Like, Phil and Co would know they're not going to do that well. And those 2 games, the player base, they're not live service games at all. So the player base is not really going to help them. It just dilutes the platform. It just makes no sense to me. Like, financially it doesn't, and the damage you do to the platform is not worth it in comparison to the relative chump change that you're going to get from having those 2 games across there. Like, and Hellblade would be the same. Like, it's a 6-hour game and it has no monetization. Like, no, man. Like, what's the point? Like, you're not going to make any money. Yeah.
Well, you're not going to make
no sense.
You don't make enough money to offset the damage to the brand.
That's right. You do not.
Which is how I see
it. That's a fact. Yeah,
yeah,
it's true.
So you'll make money, definitely, especially if you do it on day one. Which, if there's already a port, then you have to assume that they're going to do it on day one if they are going to do it at all.
What have you lost though? You've lost potentially a whole bunch of people looking at Hellblade going, wow, this is the best looking game I've ever seen. Oh shit, I've got to get Game Pass or I've got to be on the Xbox platform to play it. Oh damn, I'm going to have to do it. You've lost a lot of people that potentially would have came across instead of just, you know, by having it on PlayStation day one, they don't come to your platform. They just give you a little bit of cash, and it's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. You are hurting your platform. You are hurting your brand. You know, the optics, everything about it. Like, wasn't this whole thing about buying more studios and everything all about Game Pass? Isn't that what their platform is essentially? If that's the case, then this just works against what Game Pass is supposed to be. Don't come out here and tell us that you're pissed off and you're upset that Game Pass isn't providing you the numbers that you were hoping to get if you are actively diluting any need to get Game Pass. If you are not making it attractive by putting games on other platforms day one, you can't complain about your sub numbers being too low or not meeting your targets because you have actively shot yourself in the dick. You know, like, don't come out and complain about that shit. Like, it's just,
That's what happens when you out there down ducking it. You know what I mean?
that's right. If the bullet goes awry, it might hit your tallywhacker, you know, and that's what they've done. And that's what they're doing to themselves, man. They shot their tallywhacker off.
It removes the metric, right, as well, because they
It does.
they haven't really dropped. So they dropped Starfield, and then obviously that didn't do as well for them as they wanted it to, or they expected. I mean, it did really well, like crazy numbers for, especially for being in Game Pass, and then you take away seeing how Hellblade will have an early access period, 110%. They'll make sales off that game. And then you sort of take away how well you see how that game goes. You know what I mean? Like on your Xbox by itself in your own ecosystem, and then you don't get to see what kind of console sales you could do off a Hellblade. You know what I mean? You don't get to see what kind of, you don't get to see that metric.
Exactly.
So
the whole thing with Hellblade 2 Risk is, and as we know, that was the game that was more or less unveiled alongside or very close to the Series X before it was launched. When the Series X console was unveiled, that was the game that was supposed to be the quote unquote killer app. It was supposed to be the game that says to you, this is what this system can do. This is why you need this system. Only for them to have a PlayStation 5 version in development of as well just strips away the narrative that you've built for the last 6 years developing this game. Don't even get me started that we're getting 1 hour of gameplay for every 1 year in development, which is fucking bewildering for starters, and just the whole way they've showed the game is strange. But you have destroyed your own narrative the expectations that you have placed, that you have cultured your community to have on this game. If you put it on other platforms, like what's the point? This was supposed to be the game to show off the series, right? Like, no. If it goes to PlayStation, like, it's obvious that there's like internal rifts between, Booty, Bond, and Phil with the top guys. It will prove that there are differences of opinion on which way the brand should go, because it would make no sense to me. You're trying to grow Game Pass, but then you just put it day one on another platform? No, you are not growing Game Pass if you do that.
yeah, no, definitely. Umbra, I mean, you knew about this, but what are your thoughts?
No, well, I won't go too far into that because, I just don't have time for the energy I've lost with that whole thing of the games going there and people having such volatile reactions on the insider thing. It's kind of annoying at this point because, again, we've said this before, and it's the thing is that's weird is you can't pick and choose, and that's part of the problem. It's positive news. Yes, let me hear it. Something I don't want to hear. Enough of the insider stuff. Enough. You guessed another crap gamer and all of those other things. It's like, guys, you have to have a happier medium than that. That's one. Two, exclusives absolutely matter. We're on the same page here. And I'm sorry, you cannot, and Garuda, you really covered everything, so it's not much I need to say here. Both of you and Riskit already covered it. I don't think there's much else to add. You cannot, put out that you're acquiring all these different studios and trying to build a reason to either get an Xbox or subscribe to Game Pass, which is what they really want, because that's what they really want. Their services is tied to that. And then say, hey, well, this is everywhere, every single title. Now, they can, but at that point, you're going to have to shift into being a full third-party publisher, and that's the problem. That's the party, but
This is the
that's
party.
part of the problem. That's the party. So either you're going to have to pick and choose. Which decision are you going to go with? Are you a third-party publisher, or are you still trying to keep a platform? And that's the problem so many are having with Xbox right now, because it's a lot of uncertainty. That's why the energy is so off in the community. That's why so many people have been tearing at each other and all those types of things. You know what I mean? It's because they have disrupted our energy so much with all of that, and it's left a lot of uncertainty. And so it's really on Xbox. It's on them to get that together. Honestly.
I mean, I find that whole narrative that you were sort of pointing out earlier, people like, oh, rumors. I don't trust rumors. I don't listen to rumors. You know, especially some content creators. Then you go check out their videos, and you can see like rumors this, rumors that. Let's have special Nick on the show this week. Hey Nick, how you doing? Love to see you. Oh, it's something negative. We hate rumors. Oh, we don't trust rumors. We don't believe rumors. Like, fuck off. Like, have some congruity. Like, a little bit of fucking integrity. But I just wanted to point out, it astounds me that people don't see that stuff. It's like, do you not see this how ironically stupid this is? So yeah, I mean, I guess I held on to that. We've held on to that for a bit. And again, like I said, I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. Because I've had it confirmed from 4 different sources, so it's definitely out there. So yeah, I guess, I don't know. Welcome to my pain. This is what I've been dealing with.
It's ridiculous. Like, Xbox tells you one thing, and then they do another. Like, it's so confusing for the fan base. That's why the hardcore community that we're all a part of, like the Twitter, Xbox community and stuff, is so fractured at the moment, because Xbox are coming across fractured. They're sending like mixed, weird messages. They say one thing, do another thing. It's all this weird ambiguity around their statements. They can't tell you anything clearly or straight because they don't even know themselves. It's a mess, man. Like, I love Game Pass and I love what Phil's done thus far, but it's a real mess at the moment. Nobody knows what their long-term business strategy is, because they're just out here trialing this and doing that. Like, I'm over it, man. Like, I'm not even buying anything on Xbox anymore. Like, everything I buy is on Steam. I use Game Pass, but it's like they've got to get it right. They've got to come up with a clear business path. They've got to get back to Game Pass and buying studios and putting things into Game Pass as being the forefront of the Xbox ecosystem again. And at the moment, if they're putting things on other platforms, that's no longer your strategy. I'm over it. I'm over their stupid, weird mixed messages, man. I really am. Like,
they are giving mixed messages. Trust them.
Yeah, they are.
I would say this though, like, I'm not even. I don't know if I'm just at the point where I'm at acceptance or what, but I'm not even like bothered by this anymore. I don't know what it is. I feel like que sera, sera at this point. You know what I mean? At this point, it's like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. If not, it's not. It's on them, not me at the end of the day. And I think once I came to that conclusion and took a lot of that weight off my shoulder of trying to bear this burden of, oh no, we got to make sure we hold it down here.
Yeah.
That's when I started getting out of that and wasn't so much like depressed about the way they're handling things, or at least annoyed. I don't want to say depressed. That's really,
same, man. I'm just expecting everything to go first party at this point, and that's how I deal with it. I just like, everything's going to go eventually.
Third party, you mean?
Yeah,
but yeah, no,
like,
party, I'm not even sweating it, right? Like, I'm not sweating it right now, and I feel like, listen, that's their move to make, be it right or wrong. At the end of the day, you know, we go on here and we talk about these topics, and we don't really have the business acumen to back that up. We can only give our thoughts and what we feel. Maybe them, you know, putting all these titles everywhere is the right decision. Maybe financially it's going to work out for them. We don't know.
I don't think so.
I'll just say I don't think it would, at least for the platform. But does the platform matter to them now? That's the thing that we have to figure out. And yes, Abdul, I am still waiting on Octopath Traveler 2 as well. Don't know. I thought they may have shown it at the event. We saw nothing. I don't know what's up with that. They said it'd be in the winter. We're about to be in spring, so we need to hear something. And just to throw this out there, they had an interview IGN with the beloved Peter Moore. And Peter Moore said this. He said, it feels like the video game console is at a crossroads. Phil's talking about that's more likely to be utilizing their smartphone for everything, including gaming. I don't think people are gaming less. They're just gaming differently, which I think we can all agree. I'm not being a doomsayer. What I think Phil is doing is setting up some smoke signals that we're thinking very differently. And then the idea of, well, we bought Activision Blizzard King, but we may not make those games ultimately exclusive on our platform. There may not be a platform, and we turn into what we really had at our roots, which is a software and services company. Xbox wouldn't be what Xbox is without Halo, but yeah, I'm sure those conversations are happening. Whether they come to fruition, who knows, but they're definitely happening, I'm sure. Now, this is Peter Moore, as we all know, who was the head of Xbox at a point. I would venture to say he probably has some connections there that have told him some things. Some stuff and some things, man. So I don't know. I feel like yeah, and Star Traffic, he hit it right on the head. He or she, I'm not sure, hit it on the head. It's like Satya and Amy, they want their money. That's right. I want my money, man. I want my money. So that their want for money and to gain back, their return of investment is going to overpower anything that we have going as fans and consumers of this product. So that's what it comes down to. And I'm so at peace with that now, it doesn't even bother me anymore. It's like, whatever. You're going to do what you're going to do. If I have to play Halo on my PC that I'll eventually be getting, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I'm not abandoning that IP. I just might not have an Xbox in the future if that's the way they go. I don't know if that's what they're going to do. And I'm not going to doomsday it either. But it's all on Microsoft at that point. I'm taking it out of my hands. That's the best way I could put it.
Yeah, 110% agreed. I guess I still have love for the brand. I'll always be in it until there's. If Xbox dies, I'll be here when it dies. I'm already a console refugee from when Sega, died. And now, if it happens for Xbox, it happens. I'm not worried about that. I'm just, for me, anyone playing, the games that I'm playing doesn't bother me at all. It never has. But just the health of the platform. If the console dies, I will not like that. I guess it's the best way to put it. This is the place where, well, I'm not concerned about my library. I'm not concerned about that. That's not a worry for me. But I can understand how it would be for people. But yeah, hey, I just wanted to share that information. Blue, do you want to throw in any thoughts on exclusives? Hellblade 2 ports.
I don't know. You guys talked about it so much. There's not really much else for me to put into it. This is exactly what I said. What Peter Moore said is exactly what I was thinking as soon as we started getting the very heavy discussions during the rumors about Xbox releasing games on third party. Is ultimately this path leads to Microsoft being Microsoft and being a software company. That's what they're comfortable with. So if that's, we know there's another console coming, but it might be that the entire console space is changing after this console. We just don't know, right? Like, it looks like it's Microsoft, but it might not just be Microsoft, right? And Microsoft has historically been a little further ahead of everyone else in their thinking about where space, like where gaming spaces and other things are going. They've just been a little too quick to jump the gun. So this could be another one of those. Like, they already know what this landscape's going to look like in 10, 15 years. We just don't see it yet. And we know that Sony has been sort of following suit with Microsoft. So who knows? Maybe this really is what's what the future is. We just don't see what they know, which is troubling and scary, of course, because people don't like change. But ultimately, you will be dragged into the change, whether you like it or not, at some point. So, I guess it is like Umbra said. I don't know if it's acceptance or just the understanding that there's something bigger happening that we're not aware of. But something is gonna change.
Is
Yeah,
something happening?
I know.
Yeah.
absolutely.
But exactly clear.
Nope, he's still going.
Stop. Yeah.
Is he done?
What's that sound? Down.
He's still
Okay.
going. He's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Look, I think we actually covered all the topics that we had this week for a change. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. But Victor Alistair with the super chat. Yeah, obviously we did see the Peter Moore interview. That's sort of around exclusives and why I had my bit of exclusive rant. And also wanted to share that depressing news. Welcome to my hell. And yeah, look, as long as we have an Xbox platform, I'm always going to be Xbox. So I think a lot of people are up and down. I think a lot of people are concerned about what people will think of them if they say something negative towards Xbox or whatever. I personally will always just be honest about what I think and when I think it, and that's just me, and I can't change. So, shout out to those people who are, making money off the community by telling them what they want to hear. Good on them. I got to do the outros. Gruner, another fantastic show. Love having you on. We're going to see you again next week. Let people know where they can find you. What you'll be up to. Bing, bam.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And I'm still on the show, periodically, like 2 weeks, 2 weekends on, 2 weekends off. That's how it's going to sort of be just because of work still. So yeah, I'm going to be back next week. And thanks for having me. I love just getting on talking about games and everything with like-minded people. It's this is really relaxing for me, actually. It's refreshing. It's been a better week, but yeah, man. You can find me here every 2 out of 4 weeks. Yeah, so this is where you find me, and yeah, I'm gonna go play some games, and it's hot here, and it's very sweaty, and I don't have many clothes on, so I better go and put some on.
Okay. Sounds like this is an invite. Bruh.
Oh, whoa.
Another fantastic week. Let people know where we can find you, what you'll be up to. Bada bing, bada ba, bada boom.
Bada bing, bada boom, bobbity boobity, boobity boppity. Yes, guys, thank you all in the chat for being here, holding us down. Much love for holding us down. And also, too, you guys just sharing your thoughts and everything in there in the chat and keeping it lively. Yeah, thanks, Garuda, again for coming through. But thank you, to the panel, ThatBlueNumber, who helped me with my memory loss on naming things that I couldn't remember so well. And Riskit, good job as well hosting. I am kind of tired now for some reason. I know what it is. I had some steak before we started, and now it's giving me the itis.
The meat sweats.
It's giving me the itis. We call it the itis in the Black community. It's giving me the itis a little bit, so I need to find myself a cup of coffee or something like that. But yeah, thank you guys in the chat for holding us down. Thank you to our mods, Yodani. Thank you, brother.
Legend.
Gray wasn't here today, was he? I just thought about that.
Oh, he's here.
Is he? What's up, Gray? I don't know where you're at, brother, but shout out to you. Thank you, too, for holding us down yesterday on the show. And yeah, guys, you can find me, of course, Twitter X, Infinite Umbra, or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. And, of course, come by and support me on the Fix. Those Thursdays at 7 o'clock. Excuse me, that's my time. 8 o'clock Eastern. To give you the more easier time to find me. And Boom's Xbox Factor on Tuesdays at 12 o'clock Eastern.
Absolutely. With the late music in. Anyway. Blue. Another fantastic week. Let people know where you can find you, where you'd be up to. Bada bing, bada boom, bada bam.
Yeah, it's ThatBlueNumber everywhere. X,
That does not
PlayStation, Nintendo, Steam.
No, that does not match the bada bing, bada boom, bada bam energy. You got to come in with a little bit more. All right, go again. Ready?
Little more
Bada bing, bada boom, bada bam.
pizzazz. Yeah.
Go.
All right. So this week you can go
Yeah.
and find me
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else.
I'll find you like on Twitter and Xbox and PlayStation, Nintendo and Steam at ThatBlueNumber everywhere. That's it. I will be begging other people to play the Outlast Trials with me, and that's pretty much it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do want to check that game
and
out.
Tuesday nights at 5 p.m. Central, the Renegade Realm podcast, and it's our 50th show on Tuesday.
Renegade Realm Podcast.
Yeah, great podcast.
Nice.
With absolutely fantastic people that talk in it. Panel members. That's the word I was looking for. Sorry, I just had a mental block.
Talk in it.
Guys in the chat, you guys have been absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate every single one of you guys. And I hope you have a fantastic week. I hope we get some more good news and positive news from Xbox, because we had some this week. And I will try to stay off Twitter as much as I can, because it seems to be getting me into trouble. But if you want to check that out, you can go and head over to my Twitter, and it's down below in the description where you'll be able to find any one of our panel members and guests. We will see you all next week. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Infinite Podcast.
Squeal like a pig, boy.
We out of here.
Okay, I'm sorry. Later, y'all.
You got a purty mouth.
Got yourself a purty mouth there, don't you?